and welcome back to Mac School Prep TV. In this video, we are covering part 2 of our 2-part series all about general pointers for the college application process. If you do not know, my name is Mackenzie Warren. I'm the founder of Mac School Prep, and my goal every step of the way throughout this program is to equip you with the necessary skill set to thrive and not just merely survive in an academic setting. So without further delay, before we get this show on the road, I just want to give you a friendly reminder now to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and also hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a beat. And on that note, it's time, let's get it. Okay, so hopefully you can recall that in part 1 of this 2-part series, we spent the entire duration of that video covering pro tip number 1 that I have for you when it comes to the college application process. Now, in this video, what I'd like to do is jump into pro tip number 2, which is something that I have mentioned to you before, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate, and that is when it comes to applying to college, beating the numbers game is essential at getting your foot in the door with highly selective colleges and universities. And so reason for this is because your grades, GPA, class ranking, SAT or ACT score, AP scores, SAT subject test scores, all of those numbers are very indicative of your likelihood to succeed in college from an academic standpoint. In other words, all the empirical objective elements that make up the numbers game separate the wheat from the chaff, or the high achievers from those who just do not cut the mustard, since at the end of the day, colleges only want to admit students who they know beyond a shadow of a doubt will actually graduate and won't flunk out or something. With all of that said, it's only logical for you to now be wondering about things like, Mackenzie, what's a good SAT or ACT score? Or what's a good GPA? The bad news is that unfortunately, there's no silver bullet answer that can be applied to all colleges and universities, meaning the SAT or ACT score and GPA that gives you a competitive edge at, let's say, Harvard is going to be completely different from the numbers that give you a competitive edge at, let's say, Northwestern. However, the good news is that many, not all, but many colleges and universities have their own common data set, which is basically a document that compiles a bunch of important facts and figures about a particular school so that you can decide where to apply and see if a specific school will be a safety school, which is basically just a slam dunk for you, a match school, so a place that you're very likely to get accepted into, or a reach school, which is an institution that you have a low chance of getting into even if you meet the number thresholds, just because of its extremely low acceptance rate. Now, this might be obvious, but I'm still gonna throw it out there that you should definitely not apply to all reach schools, because if you go that route, you're not leaving yourself with any type of safety net or security blanket. A common rule of thumb is that if you apply to 6 to 8 colleges, which yes, is pretty standard, 2 to 3 of them should be reach schools, 2 to 3 of them should be match schools, and 2 of them should be safety schools. Anyways, returning back to the common data set, it's really cool because it gives you a super good and accurate idea of what exactly different colleges and universities are looking for in the students that they admit. And so with that said, I highly recommend that in your spare time, you do some digging online for the common data set of the various colleges and universities that have piqued your interest. Now, speaking from my own experience with the college application process, some important information that you should definitely be on the lookout for in the common data set is number 1, total cost of attendance. Number 2, how big a school's total undergraduate class is. Number 3, a school's male to female ratio. Number 4, the racial breakdown of a school's student body. Number 5, the total number of applications a school receives each year. Number 6, a school's acceptance rate for regular decision and early college admission, as well as what percentage of admitted students are individuals of your specific race. Number 7, what a school's yield is, which is basically the percentage of a school's admitted students who actually enroll at the university. Number 8, the SAT and ACT score that represents the 25th percentile and the SAT and ACT score that represents the 75th percentile. You should also look for the 25th and 75th percentiles for the various subcomponents of both of those standardized exams as well. Now, let's just do a quick crash course, because I know I've been throwing around 25th percentile and 75th percentile like it's common knowledge or something. But basically what I want you to understand is that the middle 50% of admitted students got a score between the 25th and 75th percentile scores. So in other words, being in that middle 50% is a nice sweet spot, because if your score is below the 25th percentile, your admissions chances are unfortunately lessened, but you could 100% still get in. And if your score is above the 75th percentile, on the other hand, you're not guaranteed admission, but you're certainly in a more ideal situation. So that was my little mini crash course of sorts. And with that out the way, I now want to move on to the 9th thing that you should look for on the Common Data Set, and that is the GPA range that the largest percentage of admitted students are in. And last but not least, the 10th thing that I would like you to be on the lookout for when evaluating the Common Data Set is key phrases like strongly considered, considered, and not considered, as those phrases are going to be very revealing of how much emphasis a school places on certain components of your application. And now that we're in the home stretch of this video as well as this two-part series, I'd now like to touch on pro tip number 3, and that is you're definitely going to want to pull up the individual website of every single college that you're applying to. That way you can look at the school's application checklist for the admissions option that you're complying with. Doing this is going to be super duper helpful because it's going to make you aware of all the important deadlines coming up that you need to put on your calendar, and it's going to ensure that you don't forget to submit something. Now, just throwing it out there, some common items that you can expect to find on these application checklists if you go with the regular admissions option are the non-refundable application fee, unless you get a fee waiver, of course, the common application or the coalition application, the college's specific writing supplements, a school report which includes your official transcript, a recommendation from your counselor, and general background information about your high school's academic program, your standardized test scores on the SAT or ACT, evaluations from 2 to 3 of your teachers, and of course your mid-year and final reports, your mid-year report being the transcript of the first half of your senior year, and your final report being the transcript of the second half of your senior year. Now, when evaluating the application checklist of each college and university, I want you to keep your eyes peeled for words like recommended and required that might apply to interviews, certain supplemental essay prompts, the writing portion of the SAT or ACT, or scores on SAT subject tests. My general rule of thumb is that you treat the word recommended as though it's synonymous with the word required, because when it comes to the college application process, it's gonna be in your best interest to leave no stone unturned. Something else you'll notice when looking at application checklists is that there are different submission platforms for your application. Some schools like Georgetown and MIT have their own custom applications, but trust me when I say that not many schools end up going that route. Instead, you'll find that the majority of colleges and universities accept the Common App, the Coalition App, and or the QuestBridge app. The QuestBridge application being one that allows low-income students in particular to discuss their unique circumstances. Because the Common Application is the most widely filled out as well as the most extensive college application, I'm going to spend an entire future video detailing how to navigate the Common Application. That way your learning curve can be shortened tremendously. Just so you know, the Common Application covers significantly more colleges and universities than the Coalition app, since the Coalition only accepts schools that provide substantial financial support to low-income students. If you don't know whether you should move forward with the Common Application or the Coalition application, be sure to check out the link I included in the description below that has pros and cons for both, and also just some general pro tips that you should keep in mind. While I'm at it, I also want to throw it out there that Apply Texas is like the Common Application for Texas schools. So if you're a student who's interested in applying to several Texas schools like Texas A&M at College Station, UT Austin, Trinity, Baylor, UH, Apply Texas is definitely something you're going to want to look into because it makes the application process easier by allowing you to apply to all of those Texas schools in one centralized location. Similarly, there is a general University of California or UC application made for students who are looking to apply to one or more of the UC schools. If you want more information about Apply Texas and or the UC application, be sure to check out the links I included in the description below. The last thing that I want to mention before we wrap up this video and this two-part series is if you have a question that is not addressed the FAQ or frequently asked questions section of a university's website, you should definitely not be afraid to send an email or place a phone call to a school's Office of Undergraduate Admissions. And if you didn't know, the contact information of a school's Office of Undergraduate Admission can either be found online by doing a simple Google search or just by simply going to the school's website. However, just know that the email or the phone call should come from you and only you. So not your parents, not your sister, not your brother, not your cousin, only you. And the reason for this is because the staff in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions want to make sure that the prospective students are the ones who are taking initiative and being resourceful and being independent all on their own. Simple as that. And with that said, I now would like to congratulate you on officially finishing this two-part series all about the college application process. I know that I've inundated you with quite a bit of information and it's probably been overwhelming at times, but the bottom line is that at this point you should definitely feel a lot more comfortable and confident about applying to college, which is all I really want. And on that note, before I catch you in the next video as we continue discussing college, applying to college, and everything that goes into it, I want to encourage you now to give this video a thumbs up if you didn't do it at the beginning, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and also go ahead and hit that notification bell so that you can stay in the loop with everything that I have to offer. And I will be sure to see you very soon. Alrighty.